Good morning. I trust you're doing well. So, I want to share something from 1 Peter 3 this morning that, well, it piggybacks some other things that I have said before. It's ironic because it uses some of the same words. And in our culture and in our time today, we struggle sometimes with, well, what am I to do? How am I to do this? This morning I'm reading the news. I don't watch it, but I do read it, and I have several different sources that I use. I can tell you that I got annoyed with the news this morning, not because I don't want to be informed, but because it's depressing. And I think that some of the things that are going on today are things I don't have to think about. I don't have to worry about. Actually, what I think I need to think about is what God is saying. And that's what he says in 1 Peter. He says this, he says, finally, you should live with one mind. And that's the mind of Christ. It says, sympathize with each other, love each other as brothers and sisters. I chuckle at that because sometimes as brothers and sisters, at least in my house, we didn't get along all the time. But I know what Peter's talking about, loving each other, because you know what? We stuck together. Even though we might fight amongst ourselves, when it came to unity, we were united, and we still are. He says, be tolerant, be tender-hearted, and give a humble attitude. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't retaliate when someone insults you. Instead, pay back them with blessings. For that's what God has called you to do, and he will grant you a blessing. That's tough stuff sometimes when we don't feel like it. I don't always feel like it. I sometimes want to just repay evil with evil. I want to insult with insult. We do that. But God is saying, if you're a follower of Christ, if you're following after God, these are the things that I've called you to do. And so I want you to do that on a daily basis, not just once in a while, but every day. I think the answer to how we do that falls in an area of practice. We need to learn to practice that so it becomes part of our everyday life. The problem is that we don't always practice it. We're so focused on other stuff, things that we're trying to get done, or the stuff that's going on in the news in our culture in our country, that we struggle sometimes with what we need to be focused on. Well, I'm going to say that we need to come back to the cross and come back to Christ and say, okay, Lord, how do I go about my day today in a way that you have called me to live, and then set out to do that. And what that's going to look like is going to be going to be a day that you're going to be listening to the Spirit of God telling you what to do. So I want you to practice that today. Think about that today as you go about your business. God has a plan, and that plan, that involves you and me, and it's a good plan. Hey, until next time, God bless.